Blackburn. Senator, it's great to have you on. Okay, there's been a blackout in Cuba on Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram to stop protesters from communicating. What are your thoughts about that? What's being done about that?
Yes, and what we have learned is that there are over 146,000 Cubans that are using Siphon. This is a technology that the Open Technology Accountability Act brought forward. Senator Menendez and I had supported this, Representative McCall over in the House. And what this technology does, if you've got a government that is trying to shut down the internet, it is a pathway that will allow people that are being oppressed to get to the internet. So we're pleased that they are using that. In addition to this, the president has got to speak out and draw a line in the sand and say that we stand with the Cuban people in their fight for freedom. Cuba is 90 miles off of our coast. We have to stand with them. It would be a good day for freedom and democracy, and a very good day for the Cuban people if they were to overthrow this government.
We haven't seen anything like this in more than 5 decades. This must come as a shock to journalists and those who cheered on the Obama administration, normalizing U.S. relations with the communist regime while setting aside the brutality of what Cuba actually does to its people. This is not about COVID-19. People inside Venezuela, Cuba, and here in the United States in Miami, they're saying this is about a dictatorship brutalizing its people. They're saying if you talk about it as COVID-19 protests, you're fatally naive. What do you say?
I totally agree with that. This is about freedom. It is about 62 years of brutal dictatorship. It is about no food, no future, no freedom. And I will tell you this, Liz, you've got the squad out here lining up with the Democratic Socialists of America. They have not had one word to say against this Cuban dictatorship or one word for these people fighting for freedom. Instead, you've got AOC out here tweeting about voting rights and different things. The people in Cuba don't have a vote. They do not have freedom. But I think if they are going to stay mum on this, maybe they should visit Cuba and live for a month where they do not have food or water or electricity, a job or freedom.
Okay, you know, the other thing, too, is that House Democrats are pressuring the Biden administration to lift Trump's sanctions on Cuba. Reportedly, the Biden administration is reviewing those sanctions. And the critics are saying that the squad and Bernie Sanders spend more time tweeting against Republicans instead of condemning or tweeting against the oppressive Cuban dictators down there. So their Twitter feeds have been silent about what's going on. That's a real moral failure. We had a Assistant Secretary of State senator saying, you know, the Cuban people have a right to peaceful assembly. They don't have any of those rights whatsoever. This sounds really like tone deaf, like they have a tin ear to what's going on. Senator, I want you to respond to that first, then we're going to go to a soundbite from Marco Rubio. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, I know Marco Rubio has been very outspoken against this. They are fighting to have rights. And if the squad, if AOC, if they want to continue to just stay silent on what is happening in Cuba and backing the Cuban people, then they can resign from Congress and go be activists for the Democratic Socialists of America. But it is imperative that we stand with the Cuban people, just like we've stood with the Hong Kong freedom fighters and the people of China in their fight.
And in Taiwan. And Representative Maliotakis now saying, Bernie Sanders, you should go to Cuba to see firsthand the suffering under the communist dictatorship there.
That's right.
Let's listen to Senator Marco Rubio here. Listen to this.
I don't know why it's so hard for them to criticize Marxists. I do think, and it's pretty clear that there are people out there that aren't saying anything, and the president took a whole day to say this. He finally said something. He still left out the word Marxist and communist and socialist. What you just described, the murderous nature of the Castro regime, that's the way every Marxist regime has ever been, always. Because Marxism and socialism is built on this. You give us the power, we're going to give you security, we're going to give you a stable economy, we're going to give you all the things you need. But the price of that, of course, is your freedom. So they win, and then what happens? You don't get those things, and you don't get your freedom back. And then if you complain about it, they crack your head open, they put you in jail, they exile you, or they kill you.
Senator, your final word.
Well, he is exactly right on that, and that is why you have to keep the sanctions on these repressive regime leaders in Cuba. They have to understand we are going to draw a line in that sand. And if the president of Cuba and his regime start firing on the people there in Cuba who are protesting, then we need all options on the table.
Okay, Senator Marsha Blackburn, thank you for joining us.